Coral reefs are home to thousands of marine species, and people around the world rely on them for food and income. But they are under threat because of climate change.
Just this week, scientists were reporting that record sea temperatures had caused the fourth mass coral bleaching event, which can cause it to decay and then to die.
Now, in the BBC documentary Our Changing Planet, presenter Liz Bonnin has been finding out some of the innovative ways coral might be saved. Let's take a look.
It's early morning in Tor Bay, and we are taking reef cubes out into the bay to help restore the reef. Getting these 500-kilogram cubes to the bottom of the sea is a team effort.
All right, let's go down for a minute.
Down on the wall.
Down a bit.
Whoa.
Stop.
Stop.
The cable lowers the block to about 15 metres.
Happy? Right, we'll put it away and then we can do the last bit.
It's on the bottom, but is it where we wanted it to be?
There she is! How long before life starts to make this their new home?
So the fish have already arrived on site, so by the evening you'd expect crustaceans to move in.
In less than 24 hours, crustaceans will move in?
Yeah.
That's extraordinary. So this is the before.
This is the before. Let's go now look at the after, ones that have been down a couple of years.
By providing these ready-made reef structures, the team are bringing the bay back to life.
Me and James did the surveys pre-installation, and it was just a barren seabed. It's sort of been decimated by industrial fishing, but now we've actually created a reef here. And so far, we've identified over 160 species.
160 species?
Yeah, 160 species.
Well, presenter Liz Bonnin joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
You
How
were just
are you?
calling those guys superheroes.
They are my superheroes. All of the guys and ladies that we feature in this programme are superheroes in human form. But that team, they're a bunch of school friends from Cornwall who decided when they saw what was happening to their bay, that all the reef, an oyster-based reef, was disappearing, they just decided to do things themselves. So they got an old cement mixer. Their mums, you know, those yoga balls, those exercise balls, to put inside the cubes as a kind of a mold situation when they were pouring in this carbon-neutral recycled material from clay pits. So it's, you know, so they, at every point they were thinking, how can we recover our reef, but do it in a way that's eco-friendly and effective? And it was just a bunch of school friends getting together and doing it and creating magic so that the reef in Tor Bay can be recovered. So yeah, they're my heroes.
And around the world, there are people like them doing the same thing, superheroes everywhere.
Superheroes everywhere, and that's why I really love this particular coral reef special for Our Changing Planet. Steve is in the Maldives. Arguably, he drew the long straw.
Steve Backshall. Yeah.
Steve Backshall. But we're featuring these two scientists who have, for the first time, come together to help the corals to spawn, so it's called coral IVF, and also to then attract the little larvae to settle in parts of the coral reef that they need to by playing back the sounds of healthy coral reefs. The healthy coral reefs sound like a discotheque. It's amazing. No. And so these two scientists have come together to collaborate with their amazing team of scientists to give coral reefs a lifeline. But also, I was in an industrial estate in South London working with the Coral Spawning Lab, right? Two, again, ingenious guys, Jamie Krabs and Michael Sweet, who just were thinking, OK, it's hard enough to give them a helping hand in the ocean itself. What about if we could get a lab situation and help the corals to spawn? And so Jamie was out in his back garden measuring the light intensity of the moon and the colour, the shade of it, so he could replicate it in his lab to then get the corals to spawn in a little kind of a booth that are then being sold all around the world to give corals a helping hand. We're talking about ingenuity, innovation, collaboration, like we really need to hear about, first of all, to be inspired, but also that I've never seen the likes of it. Actual superheroes.
Coral IVF, did you say?
Coral IVF? Yep, that's the term.
Thing?
It's a thing. They basically, so spawning is a very specific, complex event that only happens through cues from the moon and from temperature. And so when the time is right, all the corals go, right, we're releasing our eggs and sperm. And then If there are enough in the oceans, they will meet and they will fertilize and they'll make new corals. But because there are so few alive now, it's a rarer and rarer event. So Peter Harrison is helping by gathering the eggs and sperm, putting them in a pool, a kind of a net, to help them to breed, right, to mate.
Wow.
For fertilization to occur. Keeps them developing for a bit, get them a bit more sturdy before releasing them back into the ocean. Coral IVF.
So it's like coral. It is coral.
It
IVF.
is.
Now, we have obviously pictures around us here.
Yes.
Is this what coral is meant to look like?
You know, you've actually got some pretty beautiful pictures of coral. Sometimes it looks even worse than this, but actually when they're white, they're bleached. And that means they've been stressed and they've released the algae that they live with, that they have to have in their tissue so that they get their energy from, because the algae photosynthesize. And when the oceans get warmer and warmer and warmer, the corals are stressed, the little polyps, and they release the algae, which are actually the things that give corals their colour.
Got it.
And sometimes they can recover the algae, but if you get prolonged periods of warming temperatures, they die and they starve, right? Because they can't get their food from the algae they're supposed to be living with. And so as beautiful as this may look, it's the harsh reality of what we're doing to our oceans.
Yeah.
This program is really heartening and inspiring. I think, you know, human stories are one of the most effective ways to inspire each other to change our stories too, to be the change. But as all the scientists in our program say, you know, what we're doing is offering corals a lifeline. We're doing everything we can, pulling out all the stops to help them to survive. But it will come to nothing if we don't change the way we live. And you mentioned in your intro there about what's happening currently, that there's going to be another global mass bleaching event across our oceans. I mean, if we couldn't, it couldn't be harsher, the news. We need to wake up. And there's this kind of disparity between these incredible heroes that we're showcasing and some world leaders that are still using the rhetoric of, it doesn't make sense not to burn fossil fuels anymore. And it does make my heart hurt when you see what the best of us and arguably the worst of us as well. We have to change the way we live. And let me say that all the solutions are there, not just with respect to helping corals, but with everything, the way we live, our economy, the way we consume and produce. We have all those solutions. We just need to implement them before all our corals disappear.
And that's the point of this programme, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there are so many negative headlines. I think sometimes we can all feel a bit hopeless, can't we? And overwhelmed. But you're saying that there is hope out there.
There's more.
There are solutions.
Buckets of hope. All the solutions are there, as I said. And I think what's important, as communicators, we're always challenging ourselves to see, like, how best can we engage with people? We are all very overwhelmed with everything that's happening. There's so much going on in the world. Human stories are one of the most powerful ways to just make us go, wait, look at what they can achieve in the middle of nowhere. Think creatively. Feel it emboldens us and makes us feel more positive and more courageous about the changes we need to make.
Can you give us one little quick thing we could all do to make a difference?
Write to your MP and keep asking for change. Don't stop sending. Keep pressing send. Put your money in banks and pensions that don't invest in fossil fuels. All of those things speak volumes. And support the amazing scientists all around the world who are doing their bit to make your life habitable as we go about our daily lives.
Liz Bonnin, thank you so much for coming onto the water with us this morning.
It is still very beautiful, but it can be more beautiful than that.
OK, thank
Thanks
you
for
explaining.
having me.
Great
Cheers.
to see you. And Liz's show, it's called Our Changing Planet, Restoring Our Reefs. It'll be on BBC One, Sunday evening, 6 o'clock. Of course, it will also be on the BBC iPlayer.
It's just coming up to 8 o'clock. Time to get the news, the travel and the weather where you are.